All right. I think that everybody knows that the market slowed down. Prices are softer. Sales are quiet. Investors have completely exited the BC real estate market. So that's not the debate anymore that we're really seeing in the common day-to-day questions that I get. The real question I hear every single week is this: are we close to the bottom, or is there more pain coming for 2026? And if so, when do you think the bleeding is going to stop? Because nobody wants to move too early and nobody wants to miss the boat either. Here's the truth. We're not crashing, but we're not in recovery mode either. We're in a reset. And resets are uncomfortable because they don't come with a lot of clarity. Most people picture the bottom as something dramatic, a headline, a panic moment, a sudden drop followed by a rush of buyers. That's not how real estate actually works, especially here. The bottom isn't a date, it's a zone. It's a stretch of time where selling pressure finally runs out. And here's what people get wrong. Markets don't bottom when things start looking good. They bottom when bad news stops pushing prices lower. There's no bounce, there's no rally, there's no excitement. It's just kind of quiet. It's listings sit, prices stall, buyers hesitate, sellers disengage, and we might already be approaching that zone, but we're not quite there yet because the pressure is still very real and it's happening on the ground day to day. Inventory is elevated, immigration is slowed, unemployment is creeping up, investors are selling, often at losses. Even a lot of people that have bought in the last 2, 3, 4 years, they're trying to sell right now and they're taking some losses as well. It sucks. It's not fun day to day being a realtor right now. But the best thing we can do as agents is be honest and open to the conversations with our clients. Rents, those are flat in most areas, softening in others. And even when rents are strong, they're hitting ceilings. Layer that on top of higher carrying costs, expensive debt, and rates that aren't really saving anybody right now, especially with there's no rate forecast for a reduction this year. It's just expensive to own real estate right now, period, end of story. And that wears people down month after month. The pressure is coming mostly from investors. For years, the math was really easy. Borrow cheap, rents rise, hold forever. That's where people thought the gravy train was in real estate in British Columbia, but that's not true. Then the math is broken. I've spoken with investors that are losing between $1,200 to $15 a month that bought properties back in 2021 and 2022. But they're not really panicking. They've just done the math. And like any business, you can't be profitable all the time. There's going to be seasons. They are looking at spreadsheets. They're focused, they're dialed in, they know their finances in and out. So does that mean years of forced selling ahead? Probably not. What usually happens is simple. The people who can't afford to hold, they'll sell. Once they're out, pressure eases. That's how bottoms actually form. Markets don't bottom during chaos. They bottom when people are tired and burnt out. And that's what a lot of people are in this marketplace. You know, I have a listing right now that's been on the market on and off for well over a year. And it's tiring for the sellers. We get excited when we get a showing request, but we get no offers. I try to reach out to the other agent for feedback, and we're not getting it. It's really tough out there. When headlines stop mattering, when buyers stop waiting, when sellers stop fighting and they come to terms with the new price for the market, when nobody's paying any attention anymore, that's when we see things bottom. Now, let's talk about boomers, because this topic always comes up, and I'm not talking about my dog. I realize I probably misnamed my dog. I live in an older demographic neighborhood with a lot of boomers, and yelling out his name when he escapes from the backyard isn't really ideal. Okay, back to it. Downsizing is real. Yes, it adds inventory, but most of these sellers aren't under real pressure. They have so much equity in these homes. They have options and they have time, but at the same time, they don't want to use their, retirement fund. They don't want to see it keep going down and down and down because they're going to use the equity in that property to probably downsize into a condo, pay cash, and live off that other equity that they built up in their detached home. So this isn't really panic selling. It's more of a lifestyle sale. It adds weight, but slowly. It's more like a tide. It's not a wave. It's not what's driving this correction. Here's what almost nobody is talking about, and it really matters. The developments have stalled, not rentals, it's ownership housing. Condos, townhomes, new builds. They're paused, delayed, or canceled. Right now, that may not feel important, but give it 12 to 24 months when builders stop building, future inventory never shows up. That's when markets stabilize, when new supply dries up, not when demand spikes. That doesn't cause a surge, but it does stop the slide. And we're starting to see that form. People ask why the government isn't stepping in, and here's why. They're not focused on prices. They're focused on housing stability with rentals and keeping people housed. They're not bailing out investors. They're not letting the market reset. So the big question, how close are we to the bottom of the market? I think we're closer than most people think, but we're not there yet. But we're not falling apart either. 2026 looks more like a holding pattern. I still personally predict that the market's going to slide for the next 12 to 18 months, but that doesn't mean that we're going to see a huge correction continued like we have over the last 12 to 16 months. Hopefully prices are going to stick and buyers are going to remain cautious, but they're still going to be transacting. And that's when we're going to feel the bottom. It's not a V shape. It's not a crash. It's kind of like fog. Like you don't really realize that you're through it until you look back. So who does this market work for the best? If you have stable income on a long-term plan and you're not forcing a deal, this market can work for you. I'm helping so many families right now upsize from condos to townhomes or from townhomes to houses. And that's where most of my transactions are coming for. And that's exactly what we're seeing around the market everywhere in the Lower Mainland and even all across British Columbia. So if you're stretched thin, you're chasing flips or trying to time the exact bottom, this market will punish you. It always has. You can never try to time the market. It's time in the market, not timing the market. This is definitely not a market for gambling. It rewards people who are informed, prepared, and realistic in pricing terms and have a 10-year game plan. Like when I first started my career back in 2011, I told people that you should think of real estate as at least a 10-year investment. Obviously, when things got really good, the market was spiking very quickly. I kind of narrowed that down and was giving the advice, think of it as a 5-year hold, but I'm back again telling people, think of buying real estate as at least a 10-year game plan. I'm finding way too many people are looking for a 2008 moment, and that's not how Canadian markets usually move. Prices stall, soften, and they grind, and the grind wears people down. That's how bottoms form. They're quiet. If you want to avoid the biggest mistakes that buyers are making in cycles like this, make sure to watch my content that's coming up soon. And if you want to talk about your situation, there's a link below. You can book a call with me. I'll be happy to help you out. And if you're in a market other than what I focus on, I can still set you up with an incredible agent no matter where you are across North America. I have connections literally from all the way from as far north in British Columbia to as far south in the States that you can go. I'm Blake Chancey with Real Broker. Thanks for staying. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.